It's your boy Benvolio here, rocking a stripped down Cetra after a while away from making videos. I mean, I just haven't had the time, I guess, but now we got another lockdown here in Hanoi, so... Well, basically a lockdown, so here I am, playing a little Tomb Kings versus Lizardmen action, and so I guess we'll start with just kind of explaining what I'm doing with Cetra here. One of the reasons I don't like playing Cetra a lot when I play Tomb Kings, I prefer to play Khalida because she's nice and simple, right? She's got two abilities, basically, that you really tend to use. The other ones are constant. So this is my first time really trying Cetra because I don't like the amount of micro you have to do with, casters with lots of spells. I don't like that kind of spell play. I prefer to be able to focus a little bit more on macro with popping some key spells at certain points. So what I did is I stripped down Cetra. I removed some of his abilities and spells and used that extra gold to buff my troops, so you get gold back whenever you remove a spell. So I stripped him basically down to like constants. Anything that's a kind of a constant ability that's constantly active I find kind of useful because I don't have to worry about it, and it buffs the nearby troops. But then I kept his Petra's Incantation of Righteous Smiting to buff my missile units, melee. My missile, obviously not melee, to buff their missile damage against the Lizardmen here, which I use a couple times, and it does help a lot. But I also kept one damaging spell, which I think I used once, and I think it was a good choice because putting that extra gold into some of the units really helped this army stand up to the Lizardmen a lot more effectively. And let's just take a look at what I'm kind of going with here. So I went with kind of a defensive kind of build with focusing on range and also just holding a position, a high position, and I found one in the back corner of this map, mouth of the pass. I found this nice little hill in the back corner, and I'm parking my army on it. So basically, I think at the core of my army here is this Casket of Souls, which is already going to be able to open fire against his army way over there because they've got such good range and such such powerful damage-dealing abilities. And again, I put a couple chevrons into that just to make them a little bit more effective. And that's kind of the core of my army, the core of my formation, the core of my strategy here is be able to protect him and let him do as much damage from over my lines of troops as possible, and it worked out pretty well. Protecting the Casket of Souls from the back, from the rear, are the Sepulchral Stalkers, who are great at guarding a back line. They have a ranged ranged attack as well as a anti-large kind of a melee attack, so they're really great at fighting off cavalry, or at least bogging down cavalry, and also doing damage against large units, which the Lizardmen are wont to bring, being Lizardmen, having dinosaurs. Guarding the flanks, I have four groups of spearmen in total, 2 sets on each flank, so just basic chaff again, couple chevrons in them to defend against cavalry charging into the flanks, trying to get at my Casket of Souls. Anchoring them, I've got Tomb Guard, 2 groups, 1 on each flank in the back. Front line, 4 groups of just basic swordsmen, skeleton warriors with swords and shields. Cetra, obviously, stripped down. And then behind him, the Nehakaran warriors, there to plug any gaps, a little sturdier damage-dealing infantry to kind of come up and bring up the rear. Forward facing on either front, I have these 2 groups of Ushabti. They're taking aim at his Bastillodons over there already. They're able to fire. And they're going to be really useful too for hammering his Bastillodon, his living artillery, which we're going to take a look at in a minute. And that's basically it for my army. Really kind of simple, macro-focused build. His army a little bit different. So starting here, closing with the Ushabti already are the chameleon, sneaky chameleon Skinks coming over the hill. You can use their blowguns against the Ushabti. They're kind of hard to spot, annoying. They have vanguard deployments, so they're able to come much closer. And again, another group of them. So 2 groups of them. In the back, way back there, he's got a skink priest on his Pteranodon kind of thing. Pterodon, I think they call it. Able to cast some spells, some heaven spells, lightning and wind and such. I didn't really pay too much attention to that guy, apart from just zoning him out. He's got, I think, 4 groups of skink cohorts, just basic little lizard infantry here. For his front line, and then anchoring that, he's got 1 group of Saurus warriors without shields, which ended up being not a bad choice for him because I didn't have any archer units that were kind of focused against infantry, so he didn't really need to bring shields for these guys. Then another group of skink cohorts. He's got the cohort of Sotek, which is already taking a ton of fire from the Casket of Souls, which is great because it's really depleting their model account, and they are armor-piercing frenzy. So they do more damage when their morale is high. So they're just nasty, being a regiment around as well. So grinding them down before they can get to the infantry fight is going to be really to my advantage. He's got also, I think, 4 groups of these javelins, as far as I understand. 1, 2, or 3 groups, sorry, of javelins, it looks like. Skink javelins, just basic missile skinks with little spears they throw and their little skinky arms. And then over here, he's got 2 Bastillodons with solar engines, so like mystical laser lizards charging up. Here comes a zap zap. Who is he firing at? He's firing at my Ushapti. Counterfire, finally. Able to finally get a shot against the Ushapti, who have been shooting him with arrows, doing some nasty damage. And I think they were buffed with Petra's incantation of righteous smiting. That's why I brought it. So they're able to do all that extra damage to those Bastillodons. That's grinding down like a quarter of his health already. Each group of Ushapti is both able to focus on a Bastillodon. However, the Chameleon Skinks are starting to close. Krokgar sending off a Hand of the Gods. This is his lord. Great way to introduce him. He's sending off a Hand of the Gods, a sniping spell against a Cetra himself, trying to snipe my lord immediately. Let's see as this kind of impacts with Cetra. We can speed it up, I guess, now. So yeah, ow! Oh, that's a nice bit of damage. So he's trying to snipe my lord. Kind of a clever move. It's probably the best move for him right now. Ushapti returning fire against the Bastillodons. Okay, and the Skinks still shooting at the Ushapti. Maybe not able to do that much damage. However, the Bastillodons counter-firing, and Krokgar chasing them off. Not going to be an engagement those Ushapti with Great Bow will want to deal with. Very much. So the Sepulchral Stalkers, though, are getting some nice plum shots against a Krokgar. I think I'm going to try and bring them to bear against them. The Ushapti retreating behind the spears, who are doing their job pretty well. To kind of zone out Krokgar, get him bogged down with spears. That's not a situation he wants to be in. Quickly, the front lines are joining. Skinkorts, let's just get this in. Ooh, that's kind of an awkward. Ooh, but friendly fire from the Casket of Souls. Gonna want to change targets on that. I believe Krokgar has just popped a Swiftness of Itzel to try and get himself out, because he doesn't want to be bogged down with all those spears. Got them closing in from all sides. Sepulchral Stalker is able to fire him off. That is a death trap, and he rightly tries to get out of there, along with his Scar Veteran as well. He's also another support unit, kind of a hero unit. They're going to be peeling out of that trap, because that's not good for them. So they're going to get out of there, bring in the Skinkorts to cover their retreat. Chameleon's able to fire. The Skink Priest, I think he's going to be trying to cast a spell against my boys here. However, we're going to try and zone him out, I think, with the Sepulchral Stalkers in a minute, or with the Ushapti. Yeah, they're able to fire against him, and they're going to be able to do a lot of damage. I'm not sure if they've got the buff on them. No, they don't. Nope. Nice wind spell to kind of ground down my infantry. Let's take a look over on the other side, though. Now, his right flank wasn't as strong, so I was able to pull in my spears to close against them. The Casket of Souls, ooh, getting a nice shot against that backline of javelins. Managed to change that target to stop the friendly fire. However, he's responding to that by bringing in his javelins into melee, which makes sense because now he's going to be drawing friendly fire against against my own troops. So hopefully I'll have the sense to change the target again. However, I think I was focused a bit more so over here. Now I'm focusing on chasing back these Chameleon Skinks. However, Krokgar and the Scar Veteran are going to come back in now that I'm getting pulled out a little bit more out of position. He's going to try and go for those Sepulchers. He's trying to cut in for Cetra, I think, is his main thing. Cetra is kind of... Where is Cetra? He's in the middle, fighting against these cohort of Sotek and these Saurus Warriors. The Casket of Souls grinding down the javelins quite effectively. Ushapti still able to grind somewhat against the Bastillodons, those arrows chonking into that Glyptodon armor. They are more like Glyptodons than Ankylosaurs, just to be nerdy here. Their body shape's more in that. The Sepulchral Stalkers coming against Krokgar, who did a number on them already. I want to pull them back and try and get Krokgar stuck into those spears, as well as the Scar Veteran. That's going to be a much better situation. So the Tomb Guard I'm pulling to chase Krokgar off. And he's slowly getting his way in. However, I don't want him to get too close to that Casket of Souls, so I'm going to about face with the Sepulchral Stalkers. Endangers them a little, not ideal. However, it's going to give the Tomb Guard a chance to catch up. So hopefully those Sepulchral Stalkers can just hang on a little bit. Krokgar using that Hand of the Gods to snipe Cetra a little bit more. However, the healing buff for the Tomb Kings is popped. The Tomb Guard here forming a ring from the left flank, forming a ring around their king. Defending him against the Saurus Warriors. The Skeleton Swordsmen and Nehekarn Warriors still holding their own really great. One group of swords, one group of spears here against these Skink Court with javelins. They're going to lose, obviously. They're just outnumbered. Krokgar still trying to make inroads. However, the Sepulchral Stalkers holding him up. I also summoned a group of Ushapti from the, Tomb King's passive buff ability, that group of Skink cohorts with javelins taking damage, a group of spears having pushed the Chameleon Sphinx back. I managed to create a gap to chase down this Bastillodon with my group of spears, which is good. The Skink Priest hanging back, but he's going to try and bring him back in. These Chameleon Skinks still able to shoot against these Skeleton Spearmen, but basically the main battle is over here, and it looks like it's kind of gone my way. Krokar almost depleted because the Ushapti are now able to focus fire on him. However, if he can get in on Cetra and reduce him, that's not so good. I do want to be able to bring Cetra back. If it had gone much longer, I hope they would have done that. Casket of Skulls finishing off the Corda. Sotek, Skink Priest routing though, Krokar routing though. Scar Veteran still at full health, and he could have posed a risk to Cetra potentially, but that's when he decided to back out, and that's when the battle went my way. Let's take a look at the kill count. Okie dokie, so 193 on the Casket of Souls, that's great. 11 and 5 on the Ushapti Great Bows, makes sense because they're mostly focusing on those Bastillodons, who were greatly reduced. Two groups of Skeleton Warriors were eliminated, however they really did their job. One group got 53, one group got 17. Not so good on the 17 group, but they paid for themselves. 61 and 62, so that's a pretty good split in terms of the kill count. The Spears, it makes sense that some of them are a little low because they were mostly there to zone out Krokar and the Scar Veteran, but I'm really happy with the stripped down Cetra build, like reducing a lot of his abilities so that, you know, there's not so much micro and I could focus more on macro, and I think that's what really helped me out and win this one. Anyway, for the boys back home, keep it real.